Mm-hmm.
Stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. What? Yes, it is. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pollock-Root,
Present?
Commissioner Sotile,
Present?
Commissioner Edison,
Present.
and Commissioner Muros.
Present.
And for the record, Commissioner Circo is absent today.
Welcome to the El Cajon Planning Commission meeting. This meeting is being live streamed on the City of El Cajon website. Appeals and final decisions of the Planning Commission made this evening must be filed in writing with the City Clerk before 5 p.m. Friday, June 28th, 2024, and must include a payment of a filing fee. If you wish to speak on either a non-agenda item or an agenda item tonight, please fill out the request to speak card located by the agenda and turn it into the secretary, who will call you up to speak when the agenda item comes up for public comment. We ask you to give us the spelling of your first and last name. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. The display on the podium, as well as on the other monitors in the chambers, will show the time counting down. At 30 seconds, the podium clock will readout will turn red, signifying you have 30 seconds until the end of your time. Applicants and individuals representing groups of people may be allowed more time if appropriate. All public hearing comments should be addressed to me as the chair of the commission and not to individual commissioners or staff members. If you haven't done already, please turn all electronic devices off. Pursuant to City Council Resolution 114-79, a commissioner who has received evidence related to a matter before the Planning Commission other than an unescorted view of the subject property is required to disclose such information at the hearing. At this time, we will take comments from any member of the public on any item of business within the jurisdiction of the Commission that is not on the agenda. Under state law, no action can be taken on these items brought forward under public comment except to refer to the staff administration or place it on a future agenda. Is there anyone in the Commission is there anyone who wishes to address the Commission under a public comment? Please come forward. As I see nobody. Were there any, and there were no public comments submitted. Perfect. So we'll go on to the public.
First item.
The first item on the calendar.
Calendar, right.
Okay. So the consent calendar. A single motion will cover all items on the consent calendar. Does the Commission wish to pull any consent calendar items for discussion?
No.
Nope. Does the staff wish to pull any items?
No changes from staff.
Perfect. Then we'll call for a motion.
I move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
So now on to the first item on the public hearing is, let's see. At the first item, the athletic training facility. Do you have? Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioners. My name is Sable Beltran, and I'm an Assistant Planner with the Community Development Department. The item before you is a request for a conditional use permit for an athletic training facility at 1955 Cordell Court, as submitted by Seaford Investment Group, LLC. The site is located at the northerly terminus of Cordell Court, with the boundary for the site shown in white. The adjacent uses include manufacturing to the north, south, and east, and an industrial park to the west. The site is approximately 1.5 acres in size and includes a 21,000 square foot building, 60 parking stalls, and landscaping. The proposed use will be located in an approximately 6,000 square foot suite. The general plan land use designation is industrial park, and the site has a corresponding zone of M, manufacturing. In the M zone, special training and schooling conducted indoors may be permitted. However, if the school provides instruction to persons under the age of 18, then a minor conditional use permit is required. The site falls under Specific Plan, or SP number 403, which implements Special Development Area number 6 and requires that all proposed developments be designed to accommodate parking at a ratio of 1 space per 300 square feet of gross floor area. The subject site and adjacent westerly parcel were developed under Site Development Plan Permit number 1330, which authorized an industrial development. The subject site is also located within Safety Zone 6 of the Gillespie Field Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, which lists indoor small assembly as a compatible use. The applicant proposes to convert approximately 6,000 square feet of warehouse space in an existing industrial building to an athletic training facility. Instruction will include strength training, stretching, and yoga in small group classes of around 10 participants and will take place during typical business hours. SP 403 requires a parking ratio of 1 to 300, which requires 20 spaces for this suite. The applicant has demonstrated capacity for 27 parking spaces. The applicant will be required to obtain a building permit to convert the occupancy from a warehouse to an athletic training facility and to ensure adequate bathroom facilities are provided. Proposed operations include 2 office employees and up to 4 trainers on site. No changes are proposed to the exterior of the building. Adjacent suites include light manufacturing and warehousing, and the proposed athletic training use is not anticipated to create any compatibility issues. Pursuant to El Cajon Municipal Code Section 17-50060, Planning Commission shall consider the following findings in order to make a determination. For item A, general plan consistency, the proposed use is consistent with the general plan and SP number 403 because the area is designed to accommodate less intensive industrial uses, including process office uses, and other harmonious land uses such as special training and schooling. As it relates to items B and C, the existing site plan and building design were approved and developed in accordance with SP number 403 and SDP number 1330, which anticipate process office uses not typically allowed in the M zone and plan for parking at a ratio of 1 space to 300 square feet of gross floor area. For items D and E, the proposed special training and schooling facility will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, and general welfare, so long as the class sizes remain small at approximately 10 students and classes are conducted within the existing building. The existing warehouse will be safely converted into a space to accommodate special training and schooling through a building permit and will meet the athletic and training needs of individuals under 18 years of age. In accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, staff determined that the project is categorically exempt from CEQA, according to Section 15303, Class 3 of the CEQA Guidelines, which includes an exemption for commercial buildings not exceeding 10,000 square feet. The proposed special training and schooling use is proposed within the existing building. Staff therefore recommend that Planning Commission adopt the resolutions to approve the CEQA exemption and conditional use permit number 2024-0003, subject to conditions. This concludes staff's report, and we're available to answer any questions.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Were there any cards submitted on this form or no?
Yes, we received 1 speaker card.
Perfect. And does the commission have any questions about this?
No, not at all.
Okay. So just open up public hearing to, can we open up public hearing to hear that, the speaker card, please?
If I can have Mr. Jason Seifert.
Hello, I'm Jason Seifert. I agree to the conditions that are presented for me to obtain a building permit and move forward with this, move our new tenant in.
Mr. Seifert,
Sir.
why only children?
It's including people under 18, so that was the catch. I mean, there will be students over 18 as well.
Okay, so
But because that's one of the extensions to the conditional use permit is that it's a training center, but also they have people under 18. So that's like that little attachment to it, I guess.
what I'm thinking is that usually children under 18 are not able to sign a contract. So somebody who's responsible will have to sign a contract for them.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, so it is open to adults as well?
exactly. Hmm.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. And that's all I have for you.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
you have an LLC, correct?
Yes, sir.
I looked on the Secretary of State webpage, and there was a statement of facts that wasn't reported in July of 2023. It showed a red mark.
How
That
weird.
they're missing that information regarding the
okay.
officers and.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get an email about it, so yeah, I'll contact them tomorrow and make sure. Just a little form. I think I can do it online in
Yes, you
less
can
than
do it online.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get that taken care of right away. Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
Well, now it's two questions. Is there any information from staff regarding the LLC?
The LLC would have been identified in the disclosure statement. So the purpose of that is just to identify any potential conflicts of interest between the decision makers and the applicant. So no concerns from staff with regards to that information.
Very well. And then, first of all, thank you for coming. And thank you for, I wish this was around when I was a kid. The only question I have, I'm all for this, it's just I've seen in the past where certain businesses in certain cities, it would bleed into the parking lot. That's not going to happen, right? Everything's going to be indoors?
No, I don't. My personal experience with this, my children were involved in Cheer Force. Used to be called Mavericks. They've been here in El Cajon for like 20-some years. And they actually, I leaned on them about the conditional use permit. So I was kind of prepared a little bit for what I was getting myself into because they had to apply for the same thing. And it's almost the exact, like the plot plan that they had. They set it up the same way. There is a roll-up door in the back, but there's it's concrete. So what they're going to be doing is pretty much has to be indoors. There'll be I'm sure some padded flooring, just as there was. Cheer Force is like a competitive cheer, gymnastics basically. So it's not something that I don't think anyone would be able to do any part of that out in the parking lot for sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
What are you doing the construction then on the new building to bring
No,
that building?
we're just trying to get it to make sure. I mean, the main part was just making sure we were in compliance with parking, restrooms, but the TIs. There's no TIs. I'm in construction. I'm a lath and plastering contractor, but yeah, they just want to move in. So I can't give them a green light to go in until we've completed this process.
And is this the Jibe that was a new location for Jibe, or what was?
I believe, presently and for a long period of time, they've been located in
Fletcher Parkway?
I think it's they're Chula Vista or National City, I believe.
Okay.
I have two new tenants coming in, so I get them confused from
Okay.
where they're coming from. So
Okay.
yeah, but really good people. It's a family-owned business, owned and operated. They're watching right now, right? They are very fired up, and they attended online the council meeting previous to this
Okay.
one, just to kind of see how this goes. They're very fired up about being there, so very, very enthusiastic, and I'm looking forward to getting them in their place.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. That was the only card then? So we can close public comment.
All right, make a motion to close public hearing.
I second it.
All in favor?
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Anybody want to make a stab at this one?
I think this is a great thing for kids. I wish it was around. Like I said, wish it was around when I was a kid. They didn't have these type of things, so I'm all in favor of it.
Perfect.
I'd like to make a motion to. Wait, where'd it go? It just went away. I'd like to make a motion to approve CUP 2024-003, subject to conditions.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Perfect.
All right, you're all set.
Thank you so much for giving the information. Now on to the next If I knew how to lock my computer, it'd be a lot easier. Okay. Oh, there is. Oh, okay. Now I see. Okay. So on to the next Camp Runnymede, conditional use permit 2004-004.
Thank you. The item before you is a request for a conditional use permit for a kennel located at 1506 Pioneer Way, as submitted by Molly Krumwide. The site is located on the west side of Pioneer Way, approximately 650 feet south of West Bradley Avenue, with the boundary for the site shown in white. The adjacent uses include contract construction services to the north and west, and miscellaneous manufacturing uses to the south and east. The site is approximately half an acre in size and includes a 2,000 square foot warehouse building, a 995 square foot office building, and 7 parking stalls. The subject site is located in the manufacturing zone and has a corresponding general plan land use designation of industrial park. In the M zone, a kennel may be permitted by a conditional use permit. The subject site is located within Safety Zone 3 of the Gillespie Field Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, which lists a kennel as a compatible use. The project proposes converting an existing warehouse building to a kennel and adding approximately 4,300 square feet of outdoor play area. The play area will include turf and a small play pond and will be enclosed with an 8-foot fence to limit visibility and noise. Services will include grooming, obedience training, and the accessory sale of pet supplies. The zoning code does not have a specific parking requirement for kennels. However, 7 spaces are proposed. The kennel's current location at 412 Front Street was also approved with 7 parking spaces. Since the majority of customers only briefly visit the site for pickup and drop-off, customer parking demand will be low. If it is determined that more parking stalls are necessary, parking can be expanded on site, and the Planning Commission may also consider on-street parking stalls on Pioneer Way, adjacent to the site, as acceptable for accommodating additional demand. Operational impacts are not anticipated with the normal conduct of a kennel in an industrial zone, except for a limited amount of noise and odors. The installation of an 8-foot screening fence for outdoor play areas will minimize visibility and reduce noise from barking dogs. And animal waste will be required to be contained and properly disposed of to ensure that waste does not enter the storm drain system and to ensure that odors are minimized. Staff received 1 public comment which expressed concern about odors from the existing septic business at the site. Although the septic business has operated for many years and is separate from the kennel operations being considered here, staff would like to note that the footprint of the septic business will be reduced by half and therefore expect that any odors would be minimized. Additionally, the city has performance standards for such impacts, which are addressed through code compliance actions if necessary. However, in regards to the proposed use, the kennel has operated out of their Front Street location for 10 years without complaint. Pursuant to El Cajon Municipal Code Section 17-50060, Planning Commission shall consider the following findings in order to make a determination. For item A, general plan consistency, the general plan designation of industrial park seeks to accommodate quality industrial development in the city's primary industrial area. The proposed building and site improvements will upgrade the existing site and ensure compatibility with adjacent industrial uses. As it relates to items B and C, the proposed kennel will provide sufficient on-site parking and will be compatible with existing and planned land uses in the vicinity because the project site is in an industrial area with no sensitive land uses nearby. Operational conditions of approval will also ensure compatibility with adjacent uses. For item D, as previously discussed, operational impacts are not anticipated except for a limited amount of noise and odors. However, these will be minimized through fencing, proper containment and disposal of waste, and ongoing compliance with the city's performance standards. Lastly, for finding E, the proposed kennel will provide a convenient and necessary dog care service for the general public and the surrounding job centers, and is therefore in the best interest of public convenience and necessity. In accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, staff determined that the project is categorically exempt from CEQA according to Section 15303, Class 3 of the CEQA guidelines, which includes an exemption for commercial buildings not exceeding 10,000 square feet. Staff therefore recommend that Planning Commission adopt the resolutions to approve the CEQA exemption and conditional use permit number 2024-0004, subject to conditions. This concludes staff's report, and we're available to answer any questions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to understand, the septic business will still be active and they're just taking half of the property, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. They're taking the back half from what I saw on the drawings.
The proposed kennel will occupy the rear portion of the property, the back half of the property.
We don't have any renderings or anything of the proposed improvements, do we? Other than the site plan, correct?
Correct. The existing building will essentially remain the same with the roll-up doors. And then they'll make some striping on the site plan for the new parking stalls and the ADA access, but no renderings because it'll remain as is.
Okay. Is it possible to get a street view of the front of that property from your computer? Are you able to do that, Noah? Sometimes you can go on Google. I just kind of wanted to see the front of that. I'm trying to get a better idea. I know it's a pretty thin parcel, correct? With the width on it, maybe 60 feet wide, maybe less than that.
I don't have the ability to go directly to street view, but we can go back to the site plan. So 68 feet in width for the property.
Okay.
It's when you drive down Pioneer. It's an old single-family home, so the
In the
septic
front,
business
in the
is there.
front, right? Yeah, okay.
They've operated there for 60-plus years, is my understanding. It's got red trim on the house. It kind of sticks out actually when you drive down the street.
Okay, great. All right.
So for me, if it's been operating for 60-plus years, why are we bringing the CUP now? Just educate me a little bit. Maybe I'm just a little bit behind the times.
So the conditional use permit is required only for the kennel use. And so I think some of the questions that were coming up were kind of related to the existing business that's there. So it's staff's understanding that the existing business for the septic business, they're going to be reducing their footprint on the site. So they're going to be reducing that by over 50% and locating everything from the proposed kennel building out towards the street. They're an existing business that's obviously operated there for quite some time, and it's a permitted use within the industrial zone. So we would just be looking at the conditional use permit for the operational conditions related to the kennel.
Not the septic.
Correct. But staff does have the authority to continue to implement the conditions of approval that are contained in the zoning code. So, we can monitor the fire lane that provides access back to the parking for the proposed kennel. We can also make sure that they're meeting their the regulations as they relate to odors or noise related to the septic business.
I'm tracking you. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Noah, what you just mentioned, is that on the conditions of approval?
So I think the challenging thing is that we as staff, we only have the ability through the conditional use permit and the Planning Commission as well to regulate the business that requires the conditional use permit. Mm-hmm. So the Commission can apply conditions of approval to the operation of the kennel with regards to odors and noise. But essentially, as a permitted use for the existing septic business, they are just regulated by the zoning code. So if we were to receive a complaint about odors or we receive a complaint about trucks that were parking in a fire lane, we would just go out through a normal code compliance action and address that with the septic business. But the Commission doesn't have the authority through this conditional use permit to regulate the existing septic business.
Okay. All right, so it's not necessary unless there's a complaint.
Correct. If there was a complaint, we would go out there and address it. There's no history of complaints related to the septic business.
Okay, got it.
Just a quick question regarding that. With the septic business, because you said it was going to reduce by 50%, but they don't necessarily have to have this be approved. But is there anybody regulating that they are going to be reducing it by 50%, or does it make any difference regarding the dog business, whether they do or do not?
I think when we say 50%, we just mean the overall site footprint, because the Camp Runnymede would be occupying the rear 50% of the site.
Okay.
We're going by hearsay comments from the applicant who has more information about some potential modifications to the septic business.
Okay.
I can guarantee through code compliance that they would be required to maintain the fire lane that provides access to the rear. So if there were issues with like trucks,
the amount of
blocking,
trucks going in and out.
but those trucks obviously would be blocking access to the proposed kennel as well. So that would be an issue that they would probably work on together.
Okay.
But we could enforce that through the fire lanes, and then we could also enforce, if we weren't aware prior to this public hearing notice going out about any odor issues, but we could also address those through code compliance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Were there any speaker cards on this one?
Yes, we received one speaker card, and the speaker is Rick Dent.
I'm going to open public comment.
There's a change to that. We received a total of two speaker cards. The first speaker will be Rick Dent.
Perfect.
Madam Chairman, my name is Rick Dent. My address is 1444 through 1488 Pioneer. I own the property just to the south of the proposal. And I have not a problem with Camp Ruckamuck. I think it's needed in the area. They've done a really good job. I think the problem is because there's nothing available in the city of El Cajon right now, we're trying to put a round peg in a square hole. We've got a small, skinny lot that the existing use has used the whole site. Now they're going to give up half of it, but they say they're going to move their trucks. But if they don't move the trucks, then you're going to have people driving down a small little 24-foot driveway and with 40-foot sewage trucks that are backing in and out. And if someone's coming in and they can't get in, which happens a lot because of the truck traffic in the area, they're going to drop their kid and a dog and say, run them in, and you've got trucks coming in and out. It's an accident waiting to happen. And I really think, and I understand, I've talked to Noah that you guys can't put restrictions on the existing use, but maybe the Camp Ruckamuck through their lease can say, because they've told them that they're going to move all the trucks off. If they move the trucks away, then I think you're okay. I think you've got adequate ability. But if you go look at the way the trucks are parked right now there, it's there's no way that there's going to be a truck pulling out to go pump or coming back in, and someone's going to be driving in a car, and you just can't. There's not enough room. And I do have pictures, but I have nothing against Camp Ruckamuck. I like them, and I called the Hammonds today. They don't have any space. I called a couple of brokers that I know. I have a dozen properties in El Cajon. We don't have anything. But the one spot that I did look at that I thought was nice, I don't know if you guys looked at it, is the old El Cajon plumbing facility. It's not in the city of El Cajon, it's in the county, but at least that's got the ability to make a swing in and out without trying to turn a car around.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is there any way with the chair's permission, can we see your pictures?
I'll let the attorney look at it first, right?
Yeah, that'd be best. Always, that's good policy.
Yeah, while you're looking at the pictures, it's very Pioneer Way's got a lot of traffic, and if you look at most of the driveways, they're commercial size. This is a pretty small driveway, and everyone's put through the city red zones on either side because when you pull up to go out with cars coming and trucks coming in and out, you can't see, and so there's very little on-street parking that's available on Pioneer.
Can you put up the slide of the aerial view of the subject property? So, just so I understand, that back building is going to be for Camp Runamuck, right?
Correct.
So then those two trucks would have to be kind of almost starting at the sidewalk back if they were going to keep them there. I'm not, saying they
Couldn't
are
be
not.
there because that's the 25-foot area for the access.
Okay.
There would be space between the existing office building and then the kennel building. Excuse me, the kennel building. So there's some space for the trucks within there. There's some equipment and other things that are there right now, but obviously it's our understanding that they are going to change their operation in order to accommodate the kennel.
So, just so I understand, your concern is the trucks, traffic, and their parking.
Just it's traffic.
And their parking.
So if they said they're moving their trucks, I don't have a problem with the use, and because I think they'll be able to get their customers in and out safely. But if you look at the way the trucks are brought in at an angle, the only way they get the trucks in right now, forget about the two that are in the driveway. They've got them at a 60-degree angle. They have to back them in. So you're going to be having people walking in and out to go to the kennel, and they're backing a 40, 60-foot truck. It's got blind sides.
No, I'm tracking you. So you have no offense to the kennel. You have
not at all.
It's your concern is the truck parking and traffic.
It's health and safety.
So your concern is the truck traffic and the truck parking.
Truck traffic, truck parking, and the safety of people driving in to park and bring their pet in.
I'm tracking you.
I have a question for staff. Have you addressed the issues that Mr. Dent has brought up regarding the truck parking and the thoroughfare?
I think the issue is that in the industrial zone, the use is a permitted use. So if the septic business were to go away and let's say like a large moving van company were to move in, so they kind of a similar use, right? So you would be operating an office out of the existing office building and then using the area between the office and the kennel in order to store vehicles. So it essentially, to me, it would be a somewhat similar use. They would need to operate in a fashion so that they maintain the fire lane and access to the rear of the property. As far as the proposed site plan is concerned, you can see here on the site plan, Camp Runnymede is proposing to stripe additional parking spaces. So that would be parking for guests and employees in the rear of the property. So there would be, 24-foot wide fire lane that would provide access to the rear of the property to legally striped ADA accessible parking to access the kennel. So from that standpoint, we know that it's compliant with fire department standards for access. It complies with the ADA requirements for people that would be patronizing the business. So from that standpoint, staff didn't really see any issues. The challenging thing is through the normal conduct of any business in the industrial zone, they have the ability to operate, large trucks or kind of heavier uses. The zoning ordinance really wants to see this type of use, a kennel type use in this location, because of its potential impacts. So there may be some issues as far as traffic is concerned, but those would be potentially apparent in any location. Additionally, there's often the opportunity for the change in circumstance. So if the septic business were to relocate and someone else moves in, if it's a permitted use, staff doesn't have the ability to regulate it, but we do have the ongoing operational standards with regards to noise or odors or other things. So we would make sure to maintain the safe access via the fire lane through the complaint process and make sure that they have parking and access at all times.
Now with the parking on this one, because it looks like when I'm looking at the aerial view, there's quite a bit of space between the two buildings, but are they going to have all that space be parking? But there's only 7 spaces, so I'm just trying to figure out, if they're doing half of the lot, then that would push it back to the front of the building. So is there going to be some shared parking, or how are they going to work that?
Essentially the 7, so there's the 4 new striped spaces, and then on the site plan it shows kind of 3 large parking stalls that would be potentially for trucks. I think what we tried to allude to in the staff report is, there's the potential for tandem parking on some of those bigger spots if they were to work together. Ultimately we don't know what that relationship is. Staff was really relying on the fact that this business is operated successfully within the city over on Front Street for over, I believe, 10 years. They've operated with essentially the same number of parking spaces without complaint for noise or odors, and sufficient parking to where we never received any complaints with regards to that either.
And that was an industrial zone as well, so
correct.
It's just having them work together. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
No.
And
And I have one. So if it does become an issue, not that it's going to be, but let's say it does become an issue with the trucks, what way can it be addressed?
I think one option at the commission's disposal is sometimes the commission will require a 6-month review of the conditional use permit. Obviously, one of the things that we're grappling with now is the difference between the existing condition and how it's anticipated to change in conjunction with the use. So if the commission were to add a condition requiring a 6-month review after they begin operating, staff could monitor that, and then we could report back. And if there's insufficient conditions, those could be potentially addressed through new conditions of approval.
Yeah.
I think that's a good meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, it's a zero cost, and it respects the neighbor who
yeah,
made time to come here and actually, had his concerns addressed.
Right.
A
We do have-
6-month review.
I think it's reasonable.
and we do have another speaker card.
Yes, we
correct?
do have the applicant submitted a
Okay.
speaker card as well, and can mention some of the conversations
Yep.
that she's had with the property owner as well
Perfect.
as the septic business.
Perfect.
So the last speaker is the applicant, Molly Krumwade.
Thank you. Good evening.
Why don't you pull that mic down right into your so we can hear?
Is that
There we
better?
go. Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Questions or I was going to say that if you look at the aerial view, we did speak to the gentleman, Tomas Pamer, who owns the building. Currently, he's already put where those two big trucks are at the bottom of the rectangle. There's a white stripe that he's already placed for two-way traffic. So those two trucks will be gone. He's looking to relocate them to North County, to Escondido, and then we'll have space for 2 lanes of traffic coming in and out where those trucks currently are. And we have that in a proposed lease from him that will occur.
Okay,
Okay.
No, that's
Perfect.
okay.
All right.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
You don't foresee a problem then?
I don't. If any of you are familiar with where we're currently located on Front Street, we share the end of a cul-de-sac with the American Ice Company, and they have huge trucks that come and go constantly. We've never had any issues with our customers being able to navigate their trucks coming in and out. We have 5 parking spaces now, which is adequate for our customer flow because everyone's not coming all at once. We'll have customers coming throughout the day, so it's 1 or 2 cars at a time. So our customers have learned in all the years that we've been there that they might have to wait for a moment to accommodate when the ice truck's coming or going. And it just feels like we won't have a problem because the building owner currently, Mr. Pamer, is extremely excited about us being there. He's been very supportive of all of our requests and our concerns as well.
Thank you.
I think that I'm not. The concern isn't so much for the customers; it's more for the neighbors who are bringing up their concerns. I think that's more what it is. I'm not seeing the proposal is sound, but I think that the neighbors are bringing forth some concerns with the trucks. Is what they're bringing. I don't think that there's a problem with the customers per se, but would you be objectionable toward a 6-month review?
No, that would be fine. Like I said, he's already assured us that the 2 trucks that are in the driveway are already going to be gone. And like I said, he's very enthusiastic about working with us to make it work. So he wants us to be there as a tenant. So I don't anticipate a problem with working out whatever we need to make sure it does occur.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate it.
Since we have closed public,
I make a motion to close public hearing.
second that.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Fabulous. What do you think? I think it's,
Well, I don't see a problem, especially if we add the 6-month
Yeah.
review. Then we can tell if it is a problem. But right now, from where I'm sitting, I don't foresee a problem. I think the tenant and landlord and all the tenants have come together. As what is your name? I'm sorry. Molly has stated that there's going to be a 2-lane road there. And 24 feet is a pretty wide
It's a wide
driveway.
opening.
Very
Yeah.
wide driveway, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the 6-month review is a good meeting in the middle for the neighbors and for the owners, just to do a review. There's nothing wrong with taking a second look at it, doing an eye test, and if we got it wrong, we can make adjustments. But I think that's a good meeting in the middle.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Well, I will move to adopt the next resolution in order to approving the proposed CEQA exemption and CUP number 2024-0004, subject to conditions, and the 6-month review.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Let's vote.
Rebecca, can you enter your vote again, please? Rebecca Pollock-Root.
I pushed it. I'll push it again. Sorry. It's red. It's just a little slow.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Thank you. Thanks for speaking on the items.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. That's a long one. Okay, so we're on to the Raffo Villas. Agenda item 4, Raffo Villas, the new common interest development for 5 single-family detached residents. It's CEQA exempt, recommended for city council approval. You told me to read everything today, so I did.
Good evening, Chair and Planning Commissioners. My name is Mike Villione, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. Item 4 on this evening's agenda is the Raffo Villas project as submitted by Ronnie Sloom of New Vision Building and Design. So as you stated, project applications include a planned unit development permit, or PUD, and a tentative subdivision map proposing a 6-lot subdivision with a common lot for private street and 5 lots with detached single-family homes on a vacant site. Proposed residences utilize a 1,700 square foot floor plan in standard and mirrored configurations and include 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and an attached 2-car garage for sale at market prices. The project developer would install new driveway, sidewalk, street trees, and street light in the public right-of-way along South Magnolia Avenue, as well as private improvements and landscape for use by residents. 920 South Magnolia, shown here in blue, is an interior lot on the west side of South Magnolia Avenue between West Renette Avenue and West Chase Avenue. The vacant site is roughly 0.46 acres and was previously developed with single-family home and accessory structures. These structures were the subject of code compliance activity and were subsequently demolished after falling into disrepair. The property slopes down from Magnolia Avenue to the west and is bordered by a townhome planned unit development to the north, apartments to the west, and single-family structure to the south. The property is designated medium-density residential in the general plan and is zoned RM 2200. These designations correspond and are intended for residential development up to 20 dwelling units per acre. With 5 units on a 0.4 acre site, the proposed density is just under 11 dwelling units per acre. The site was not identified in the housing element sites inventory as a site necessary to meet the city's share of regional housing needs. While the RM 2200 zone typically yields multifamily dwellings, a PUD may be proposed in any residential zone and include uses consistent with the underlying zoning district. The RM 2200 includes single-family homes as a permissible use, and thus it is permissible in the proposed PUD. This is the proposed PUD site plan for the project. Proposed lot lines are shown in blue. The plan is generally consistent with planned unit development regulations, but also requests alternative development standards. The 5 single-family homes are oriented toward a private street accessed off South Magnolia Avenue, which is 20 feet wide, consistent with the California Fire Code, rather than the PUD standard of 22 feet. Note that floor plans west of the turnaround are in a mirrored configuration. Each home observes 10-foot setbacks from public and private streets and proposes interior and rear setbacks of at least 5 feet, consistent with planned unit development regulations. Private rear yards accommodate the minimum 400 square feet of open space per unit and also provide space for required refuse containers. The site plan includes a sidewalk and 18 parking stalls consistent with requirements, but proposes a reduced driveway depth and reverse space for these stalls. Instead, these stalls propose a standard dimension for outdoor uncovered stalls in the zoning code of 18.5 feet and credit the driveway apron toward the required 24 feet of reverse space. Landscape is proposed along the project frontage, along buildings, and at the end of the private street. The landscape along South Magnolia Avenue also accommodates a stormwater facility and would be protected by 42-inch high masonry wall topped by decorative fencing. A 6-foot high screening fence is proposed along property lines atop site retaining walls. These proposed fills and retaining walls reach a maximum height of 7 feet at the western limit of the project, then descend toward Magnolia Avenue along property lines to provide adequate fall for gravity sewer service and drainage to receiving infrastructure. These fills are consistent with other developments along South Magnolia Avenue, including the PUD to the adjacent north shown in the image. Consistent with municipal code requirements, aesthetics, safety, and input from neighbors must be considered for fences and walls in excess of 6 feet. The radius notice for the project included specific reference to the combined wall height of 13 feet, but no public comments were received. All proposed walls and fences observe required setbacks from Magnolia Avenue to preserve site distance, and the draft resolution includes a condition requiring a decorative finish across all visible portions of site walls to provide aesthetic appearance. This slide shows the proposed renders of the single-family residences east of the turnaround. East of the turnaround as seen from the private street to the south and Magnolia Avenue. Note that because of the mirrored floor plan configuration, the reverse of the east elevation in the bottom right would face the property to the west of the project. Exterior materials include stucco and lap siding in contemporary contrasting colors with stonework highlights along front elevations. The roof is proposed to be asphalt shingle and is 25.5 feet in maximum height, consistent with PUD limitations from the RM 2200 zone. Note that the base zone would permit a maximum of 35 feet with a 6-foot setback from the northerly property line. In general, the proposed residences are consistent with architectural guidelines as required by PUD regulations. In accordance with these guidelines, structures include changes in wall planes, architectural detailing across all elevations, multiple materials, and contemporary design. As you can see in the rear and turnaround facing elevations shown here, trims, banding, and other details are continued throughout. Also note that the draft resolution includes a condition limiting second-story lighting to downlighting only to improve compatibility with surrounding properties. As a common interest development, the proposed POD will require the recordation of covenants, conditions, and restrictions and the formation of a homeowners association. Common facilities outside the private rear yards will be maintained by the HOA. In order for Planning Commission to recommend City Council approval of a planned unit development, the following findings must be made. First, that the density of the proposed PUD is consistent with the general plan. 2, that the approval of any alternative development standards is in the public interest. 3, that the proposed PUD is compatible with surrounding development. And 4, that the location of structures, private driveways, and parking spaces on the proposed PUD site plan will not result in unauthorized parking, which would block or hamper vehicular movement or affect visibility on the private street or driveway. The necessary findings for the PUD are included in the draft resolution on the grounds that the project is consistent with surrounding development, general plan density, and objectives. The proposed alternative development standards are further in the public interest as they facilitate satisfaction of housing element obligations and will not result in unsafe site conditions as they are consistent with other applicable municipal code standards for such facilities. Draft findings necessary to approve the tentative subdivision map are also included in the draft resolution in accordance with the subdivision ordinance. The proposed project is exempt from the environmental review requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15332, the Class 32 exemption for infill development. Staff therefore recommend that Planning Commission recommend City Council approval of the CEQA determination, planned unit development, and tentative subdivision map. This concludes staff's report.
Well, just one. So it wasn't identified in the housing element, but it does. We do get credit for it, obviously, right?
That's correct.
That's great. No, that's great. Seeing some nice individual, privately owned homes. We're in such need of them. It's a great looking plan. It looks great.
I noticed this composition roof. We used to have a requirement for tile. When did that change?
I wouldn't be able to point to a specific date where that requirement changed, but it has certainly, as acknowledged in the staff report, been a requirement of Planning Commission and City Council, at least in decision documents, to require cementitious roof tiles.
That's good. I think it's great that we have the flexibility for that. Okay.
For me, I'm looking at parking, for guest parking. I don't really see, maybe I'm just missing it. I don't see a lot of guest parking. Maybe you can point it out to me. Maybe I'm just missing it. I just
Sure.
don't see any. I just know that with HOA, it's like the main monster.
It says 5 here
So
on the chart.
I'm just not seeing it.
if you can see on the site plan, right, in front of the garage, there's one space for each unit. On the right side of the screen where the unit 1 is, immediately to the left of the driveway, you'll see a space. That pattern is repeated to the left of driveway number 2 and also at driveway number 4. So those are 3 common spaces, supplemental spaces in the common lot.
So just to be clear, it's one space per home?
Each unit has a 2-car garage. They have space sufficient for at least 1 car in their driveways, and then there are the 3 supplemental spaces.
Yeah, I'm tracking it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was not seeing it.
Yes, we received 1 speaker card from the applicant, Rania Saloom.
Good evening. My name is Rania Saloom with New Vision Building and Design. I am the project designer. I just want to state that I agree with all the conditions listed to obtain all the required permits. Great project. Thank you.
Any questions? I don't have any questions.
No.
She's like. No, I don't know if any.
No questions.
No questions? No. Okay. Sorry.
Close public hearing. I'll second it.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Perfect. Any more comments from you on this one? It's a great little.
So what I see, an empty lot. with
Much
nothing
better.
on there looks much nicer.
And we need the housing.
Elevation, the elevation, so that I saw that. So I'd like to make a motion, if I may.
Please do.
I'd like to move to adopt the next resolution in order recommending City Council approval of the CEQA exemption, PUD number 2023-004 and TSM number 2023-0011, subject to conditions.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
All right.
Thank you.
And Chair, if I may, the
Homes in El Cajon.
Yeah.
so this was a recommendation to the City Council. This item was joint notice for the City Council meeting of July 23rd, 2024 at 7
perfect.
p.m.
Perfect. So let's see the follow-up for that one. Awesome. None to the last, but this was a very long one, so I'll get there. I tried to push the lock button, it doesn't. Oh, look at that. Thank you. No, mine took me back to the beginning.
Yeah,
goodness. I'm lost in space right now. I was almost there. Now it went away completely. Oh my goodness. I might just borrow yours. Yeah, I want to borrow yours really quick because mine's.
Are you locked?
I'm locked, but it keeps going
then
to the beginning.
hit the little arrow at the top, and it'll take you right back to the beginning.
Oh.
Where are we?
We're number 5. Okay, so we're agenda number 5.
Hit this one.
Perfect. The Madar variance extended approval period for 1 year. It's CEQA exempt, and staff is recommending to approve. It's a small one.
Thank you again, Planning Commissioners and Honorable Chair. Mike Villione, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. The final item on tonight's agenda is a request for time extension for approved variance number 2023-0001 as submitted by Guy Madar. This variance was approved by Planning Commission 4-0 on May 16, 2023 with a 1-year expiration. The applicant requested an extension on April 9th, 2024. The El Cajon Municipal Code provides that the decision-making body may grant a single 1-year extension. This may be done without further public hearing according to the code.
I remember it.
Yeah,
That we approved it. It was by Garfield and
Wakefield.
Wakefield, yeah.
So just as a reminder, and as the Commission is aware, variance number 2023 authorizes a 15-foot setback from Garfield Avenue for the property outlined in blue at 829 Wakefield Court due to steep slopes. A lot with street frontage on opposite sides, called a through lot, would otherwise require 20-foot front yard setbacks from each street. The reduction was found to be consistent with development standards in the same zone and vicinity, as the properties highlighted in red were also granted variances to allow 15-foot setbacks. Setback standards in the R6 zone have not changed since this variance approval. The applicant has submitted all necessary plans for project review and has progressed substantially toward issuance of a building permit. Staff therefore recommend that the Planning Commission approve the 1-year extension permitted by the El Cajon Municipal Code. This concludes staff's report. Thank you.
Perfect. Pretty straightforward, but did anybody have any questions on this one? Or?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
I think he should get his 1-year extension. So, without any questions, we can just move to adopt the next resolution on order approving the time extensions for variance number 2023-001.
I second it.
Perfect. Vote, please.
Commissioner Morose, can you enter your vote again, please?
Wasn't me
Thank
this
you.
time.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Perfect. Fabulous. Is there any staff reports or?
No additional communications from staff.
Look at that. Well, then I'll motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Please vote, please.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Thank you so much.